What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Cooking with Tammy. I am back in the building with another great recipe. Today I'm going to show you how to make my delicious stuffed lobster tails. We have our jumbo sized lobster tails. These lobster tails are about 13 ounces. Aren't they gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful. For our seasonings, garlic powder, dry parsley, Old Bay seasoning, Cajun seasoning. We also have some butter, and we have some shrimp that's cleaned and deveined, as well as some breadcrumbs, mayo, crab meat. Now, of course, for this recipe, you can substitute with lump crab, claw meat, blue crab meat, totally optional. We also have an egg, Dijon mustard, as well as some additional Cajun seasoning, Old Bay seasoning, as well as one of my favorite seasonings, of course, cedar plank salmon seasoning, lemon juice, Worcestershire sauce, and we also have some fresh lemon. So without further ado, let's get this recipe started. We're going to start off with prepping our lobster tail. First thing I like to do is taking my kitchen shears. We're going to take it and we're going to go on the back of the lobster tail. Make sure your kitchen shears is really sharp. And we're just going to cut along the back of the lobster tail. Take your time. Put your back into it, of course. We're going to cut it all the way down to the end, but we're going to stop just before you get to the fins. You don't want to cut any further. And you're going to be careful with this one right here. You're going to try to separate the meat from the shell. Some lobster tails are a little bit easier to separate than others. Some, you got to go in there, you got to put that work in. And we're going to take the belly of the lobster tail and we're going to separate it from the membrane. This part right here, of course, is the membrane. Try not to break the shell because it's all part of the presentation. So even if it takes you about 5 minutes to get your lobster tail situated, it's definitely worth the time. And boom, here you go. Everything is perfect. It's always best to rinse your lobster tail off for many reasons. A lot of times also there's little particles of shell that may get into the lobster tail, and trust me, you don't want to bite down on shell. Of course, when you're rinsing your lobster tail off, you're going to use extremely cold water. Even when you're defrosting your lobster tail, use cold water to allow the lobster tail to defrost as well. This lobster tail, however, didn't have it. But just like shrimp, you want to devein the lobster tail. Sometimes when you open it, you see that gunk inside of it. And of course, you want to devein it, wash it out, and make sure everything is nice and clean. After you finish prepping and cutting and rinsing your lobster tail off, this is what it should look like. Anyway, we're going to move on to making our butter sauce. First thing we're going to do is with our butter, we're going to add it to a bowl, place it in the microwave, and allow the butter to get nice and melted. All right, our butter is melted, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to season this butter up because we want it to be nice and buttery and nice and saucy and tasty. So we're going to add our Cajun seasoning to our butter. Yep, that's why we had 2 sets of seasoning. And we're also going to add our Old Bay seasoning, our garlic powder, as well as our dry parsley. Let's just give it a good mix. Make sure everything is well combined. And that's it. So simple, so easy. I'm going to place my lobster tails right here, just like that. I'm going to go in and fix it in a second. All right, perfect. Close the shell just a bit. Allow it to sit on the top. I want to jazz my butter sauce up just a bit. So I'm going to add some of that cedar plank salmon seasoning. It's not too late to add. Of course not. Give it a good mix once again. I love the salmon plank seasoning because it has those little notes and hints of citrus, which is going to definitely complement our seafood. Alrighty, it's about that time. So we are going to take our delicious, perfectly seasoned butter sauce and we're going to add it to our lobster tails just like that. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And we're going to take our brush, our famous barbecue brush, and we're just going to brush it on. Why are you seasoning up the lobster tails when you're going to stuff it with crab? You want bland lobster tails? I know you don't want your lobster tail to be bland. especially when the meat is this thick, okay? Gotta season it up. If not, it's not gonna be the best. Take your time, show your lobster tail some love, especially when you paid $40 for your lobster tails. And of course, they vary in size and they vary in price as well. You want to make sure you get this done the first shot. If not, you're going to be throwing away in the garbage if it doesn't come out perfect. So you want to make sure you get it done perfect the first time. That's why I'm going in depth and explaining everything thoroughly. And that's it. All right, make sure you finish up all that butter sauce, get in there really good. And what we're gonna do, what are we gonna do, Tammy? Tell us. I'm anxiously waiting. We're gonna place our lobster tails into our preheated 425-degree oven. We're gonna allow our lobster tails to bake for about 3 to 4 minutes. Why are we doing that? Ain't we supposed to like stuff our lobster tails? Yes, we are. Be patient. The reason why we place it into the oven is because the meat is so thick, all right? If we stuff our lobster tails with our crab meat, our lobster meat is not gonna be cooked all the way through. Once again, because the meat is really thick. So we need to somewhat pre-cook the lobster tails first, halfway through, 425 degrees Fahrenheit for about 3 to 4 minutes. And with all of that being said, into the oven we go. See you later. Now that our lobster tails are in the oven, we are gonna work on making our crab meat mixture. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add our mayo to this bowl right here. Here goes some assistance, because our mayo doesn't want to come out of the measuring cup. So we got to go in there with a little reinforcement, get it all out. All right, just like that. And we're going to add a little bit of our Dijon mustard. Add a little bit more, why not, right? We're also going to add our egg to the mixture, as well as our seasonings, our cedar plank seasoning, of course, our Cajun seasoning, our Old Bay seasoning, as well as our Worcestershire sauce, our saucy sauce, our lemon juice. Can't tell me this is not like a dump and go, right? And we're gonna mix it all in. Mix it all together. Make sure everything is well combined. All right, our mixture is perfect and good to go. That's perfect. We're gonna add our crab meat. And of course, when you're adding your crab meat, make sure you strain it off. Make sure you drain it. You don't want any water going into this mixture. If there's a lot of excess water in the mixture, you're gonna have to add more breadcrumbs. And we use the breadcrumbs to hold it together, basically. But you want to also be able to taste that crab meat. You don't want to be stuck on eating breadcrumbs. So it's best, like I said, to drain it off as much as possible, so that way you minimize the amount of breadcrumbs that you need to add. I just added about a tablespoon of breadcrumbs, and that should be it for now. Now, of course, cooking with Tammy, we don't cook simplistically, right? We like to take things up a couple notches. So what we're gonna do is, we're gonna take some of our jumbo shrimp and we're gonna add it to our crab mixture. Yes, because you want texture in your crab meat. And we're doing this all while our lobster tails are in the oven for about 4 minutes, all right? These are some pretty big shrimp, so I'm gonna cut it into 3s, just like that. Of course, you cutting your shrimp all has to do with the amount of shrimp, or should I say not the amount, but the size of shrimp rather. If you're working with smaller shrimp, of course, you don't have to cut it in 3s. Just either add it as is or just cut it in half. Totally up to you. We're going to take our shrimp and we're going to add it to our crab mixture. Yes, we are. Just like that. Nice, big, chunky sized pieces of shrimp. Doesn't get any better than that. Trust me. Everything is going to tie together perfectly. This is one of my favorite recipes, and I know it's definitely going to be one of yours as well. Not to mention, it's so easy to put together, right? Yep. All right, let's check on our lobster tails, and it should be about that time. Let's get those lobster tails out of the oven. Check it out. Check it out. Look at how beautiful, and it's not even done yet, right? All right, we still have our work cut out for us, so let's get to cooking. What we're going to do is our crab mixture, we are going to spoon it on out. And we are going to set it right on the top of our lobster tail. Just when you thought it couldn't get any better, right? I know, trust me. I know you did. I know you did. Let's make sure we get some of those chunky shrimp pieces on there as well. And this is going to be our seafood stuffed lobster tail. Yes, it is. Let's work on the second lobster tail as well. Let's turn it around so you guys get a better view. Gotta go big or go home. And besides, I got a lot of crab meat. I need a reason as to why we stacking it up. That's perfect. Even if a little bit falls into the pan, that's all right. No problem. Now what we're gonna do is we are gonna take some of that extra butter sauce that we had, and we're just gonna drizzle it on, give it some color. Nice pop of color. And of course, if you don't have any extra butter sauce, ingredients would definitely be listed, but I'm going to go through it really quickly. Butter, a little bit of lemon juice, cedar plank seasoning, Cajun seasoning, as well as Old Bay seasoning. If you got a little smoked paprika, add it in there as well, and boom, you're good to go. Back into the oven. At this time, we're going to cook it through fully. 425 degrees Fahrenheit. At this point in time, we're cooking it for about, let's see, anywhere from 13 to about 15 minutes, only because these are jumbo to colossal size lobster tails. Now, of course, if you're working with smaller lobster tails, you're gonna cook it maybe for about 7 to 10 minutes. In our case, we need to leave it in the oven for a little longer, and we need to check on it periodically. Quick tip. Now, of course, it wouldn't be cooking with Tammy if I didn't hit you with a quick tip. When it comes to making a stuffed lobster tail, it could be a little bit tricky. When making a regular lobster tail, especially in the oven, usually once the lobster tail is opaque, you could kind of tell that the lobster tail is done. But once you have the stuffing or the crab meat mixture on top, it's a little hard to see the lobster, or should I say the lobster meat. So it's always best to have your thermometer on hand. What we need is our lobster tail to be at least 145 degrees Fahrenheit internal temp. And you're going to insert the thermometer, of course, in the thickest part of the lobster tail. Once it reaches 145 degrees Fahrenheit, then guess what? We're good to go. Our seafood stuffed lobster tails are fresh out of the oven, and they are piping hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some melted butter with a little bit of parsley, just like that. And we're going to drizzle it on. OMG. Talk about mouth watering. Whoa. And we're going to do the same for the second one as well. Let me tell you something. If you're not in love after this recipe right here, you will be. Trust me. This recipe is everything. You hear me? Not to mention we use some basic ingredients. Yes, we did, but we incorporated it perfectly. So with that being said, the taste of these stuffed seafood lobster tails are going to be superb. You know, I'm just going to go in and drizzle it on. Why not? Let's not waste any time. And we're going to hit it with some fresh lemon juice as well, because of course you can't have seafood without that lemon juice, baby. Just like that. That right there is going to be hitting. There's no other way to say it. It's going to be hitting. It's going to be so, your palate is going to thank you. All right. Anyway, you want me to cut into it, or you want me to just leave it the way it is so you guys can continue admiring it? Which one? Anyway, I'm going to cut into it. Yes, I am, because I want to show you guys what it looks like on the inside when it's perfectly cooked. Lobster tail and shrimp. Check it out, guys. Beautiful. What I did was I went ahead and I cut the lobster out of the shell, only because it would be definitely a little bit easier to eat, minus, you know, try to cut it into the shell to demonstrate, to show you guys. First thing we're going to do is we're going to hit it off with a little bit more lemon juice. Just makes the seafood taste even better. And I'm going to cut into it so you guys can see what we're talking about. Lobster, perfectly cooked. Not to mention our shrimp. Woo! Beautiful. Nice and pink. And we're going to take it all together. And we got that crab meat that's incorporated. And we're going to taste it. You guys want to taste it? I know you do. Yes, but I'm going to taste it for you. I want to taste some more of that crab meat. Perfectly seasoned. This is absolutely delicious. I mean, different notes is hitting in every single way possible. So delicious. The crab meat, perfectly seasoned. It definitely complements the lobster tail, not to mention the added shrimp that was perfectly seasoned as well. Now, if this is not a seafood stuffed lobster tail, I don't know what is. This is absolutely delicious. Whoa. Now, here's the thing. Why not make this yourself rather than going out and paying about, what, $80 for one of these guys right here? Let me tell you, if this is not one of the best quarantine dinners, I don't know what is. Anyway, guys, of course, I'm your girl Cooking with Tammy, or recipe details. Where's the recipe? I get that question all the time. I don't know why. But anyway, I'm going to say it again. Below the video is called the description bar. The recipe details would be in the description bar. If you can't find it there, you would find a link that would direct you to my website, which is cookingwithtammy.recipes. Those are the only two outlets or two places where you would find all recipe details. And with all of that being said, definitely give this recipe a try. Knock your taste buds out of the box. And I will catch you guys later.